to introduce our speakers for today's web session. So it's going to be very interesting. And today, three topics we are covering. It's going to be on in vitro diagnostic in-house and partnership. Which one is better for the specialty testing by Dr. Velumani, who is a well-renowned person, and he has been very phenomenal in thyrocare lab diagnostics chain across the country. And the next topic will be setting up of small lab cartridge, that is point of care versus chemical method. And the third topic is going to be an IEM genetic study sample. How even from not only the urban places like Bangalore, even in rural places, how it can be covered, and how to create that portal and network chain to make sure that even the babies which are born in the remotest part of the country can be tested for this. So for which we have speakers, Dr. Akash. So today sessions will be moderated by Dr. Sohail and myself. And for today's session panelists, we have Dr. Sheshagiri from Vizag and Dr. Biregoda from Kolar. So I request now Kishore Kumar sir, who is Vice President and Director of Cloud9 Group of Hospital, to introduce our speaker, all the three speakers, and start the session. Over to you, Kishore sir.
Thank you, Prashant. Today's session is very important for many reasons. I think the lab forms an integral part of a hospital, and we can say it's the heart of the hospital. And we have three excellent speakers, and I have the privilege of introducing all three of them. To start with Dr. Velumani, he is well known as Thyrocare founder and MD now, but he was born to poor parents, a small village in Pudur near Coimbatore in 1959. Today, he owns and operates Thyrocare, which has become synonymous with the lab in the industry, and it has become a household brand. He began as a mathematician, became a scientist with a PhD in thyroid biochemistry from Mumbai University, now a celebrated entrepreneur. Anchored at Navi Mumbai, he has employed 8,000 plus freshers, serves 10,000 cities and towns in 10 countries, and his clinical laboratory services doing 400,000 tests a night. Velumani proves amply clearly to industry that focus gives success and frugality gives a sustainable success. He has never borrowed personally for his company. An infectious motivator, he has succeeded in converting educated as employed graduates as professionals, individuals as entrepreneurs, vendors as partners, family members as wealth creators, and by his unique way, transformed intimidating problems into opportunities. He is a hilarious storyteller in English, Tamil, Hindi, and Marathi, which entertains, educates, empowers, and encourages. That's a fantastic combination. Usually, any South Indian will know Hindi and English, but not Marathi. Obviously, he has penetrated unpenetrable language. He has educated to become entrepreneurs. And our second speaker is Dr. Haridas, who has been a pathologist for close to 4 decades. And he owns his laboratory, Standard Diagnostics, and is also partner and director in Delta Diagnostics in Basavangudi, Bangalore. He also is the chief pathologist of Cloud9 Group of Hospitals India, and is also a pathologist in Trinity Hospital, Bangalore. He happens to be my brother-in-law, and when we wanted to start Cloud9, we had no clue of how to start and what equipment to buy. And for a lab, you need a reliable person. So being a brother-in-law, I took advantage and convinced him to become a guidance for us. And today we are doing extremely well in the lab because of his inputs. Last but not the least is Akash Navilebasappa. Akash deserves a little bit of background story. When we started Cloud9 15 years back, we tried to send newborn screening for all the babies born as per our policy to various labs that existed in India for newborn screening at that time. And the standardization was very poor 15 years back. So we had a tie-up with Adelaide in Australia, and sent the samples for almost 7 years. And Akash had established Acuity Labs. He's the CEO and MD of Acuity Labs. And when he approached us, we wanted to see how good his lab is. So we overlapped with Adelaide and tested his lab for almost 6 months for the quality of the reports. And clearly, he showed his commitment. He's a very good academician, dedicated biochemist with a PhD. He's always interested in academics. Unlike many lab owners, he is always interested in seeing how we can improve and make the quality of service better. And he has got a few international work going on with the Acuity Labs, and today he'll be talking to us. So with these three excellent speakers today, we are going to learn about how to manage lab or outsource it, what way to go, and over to you, Dr. Velumani.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the organizers. I'm getting an echo. Yeah. And thank you, Sridhar, for connecting me to this forum. And I will be talking for a few minutes about me and ThyroCare, a few minutes about COVID, and a few minutes about post-COVID, how laboratories will be using it as an opportunity. As I was introduced, I'm from Coimbatore, a small village. Came to Mumbai in 1982 for a job, for a livelihood. After finishing my chemistry graduation with maths and physics as ancillaries, I thought that's the end of education. But in Baba Atomic Research Center, where I got a job of a scientist, I was given an opportunity to do MSc and PhD. And while doing PhD, the job was to find out a indigenous solution for thyroid testing because importing was very costly. Nothing but make in India. So in 1995, I found thyroid testing reagent can be made in India. So what was 150 rupees for my competitors, I felt it is only 50 rupees because it was made in India. So I started competing with everyone in the market, priced it low, and then volumes had come. Then I stopped manufacturing because multinational companies were cheaper than local manufacturing. Whenever there is volume, multinational companies are the cheapest. So I did a business. First 20 years I was a farmer. Then next 20 years I was a scientist. Last 20 years I have been an entrepreneur. Next 20 years I wish to be a storyteller. And the company today has a presence in 10 countries and has an annual turnover of 500 crore. It is listed in the National Stock Exchange and 345 today. When the stock market closed, the market cap of the company is 4,000 crores. So that's the company, that is the journey. I have only employed freshers because I felt that freshers are easy to get, difficult to train, but once trained, they are very useful. So we have employed so far 8,000 freshers. Nowhere in the country there can be a laboratory which is doing more than 5 crore turnover, and our staff is not there. So
Prashant, why can't you mute everybody? Prashant.
Yeah, please mute everyone, otherwise
Prashant.
I won't be able to talk.
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
Right.
Prashant?
No. Right. I think some muting has happened. So that is the story of ThyroCare, and ThyroCare is present across the country, east, west, north, south. I was the first man to introduce a franchisee concept. I was the first man to work on a laboratory kitchen model because this particular group whom I am addressing is laboratory related. So let me tell you what made ThyroCare very powerful, very successful. One is I priced it low because I wanted volume and I had some strength of making reagents. So pricing low was very, very important. Because there was a pricing low, there was a volume growth very fast. I am from Coimbatore and there is a hotel chain called as Annapurna. And this man in 1970s ran a cloud kitchen, one kitchen and 10 restaurants. And he minted $1 billion even in 1980s. So that was a concept where a single kitchen means the same quality, same consistency, same everything, brand. I thought in Mumbai, I can run a kitchen for a laboratory. In laboratory also, there is a kitchen restaurant. Where you engage the customer is restaurant, where you engage the testing is kitchen. So what did I do? I became a kitchen for South Mumbai. Some 40, 50 laboratories. I told I can do the test at the lowest cost. They supported me. Then entire Mumbai. Then Pune, Surat, Nasik. Then Delhi, Hyderabad and Chennai. Now we are present from Indonesia to Saudi Arabia, many countries. So this is a very unique way. No one thought it is possible. And I also created a franchisee concept. Madarasi cannot do business in Punjab or Bengal. So I thought every local man only can do business. So I created a concept of franchisee and told them keep 50% revenue. Give me 50% revenue. For him not doing the test, he gets 50%. For me, investing and doing everything, I take 50%. People felt it is too much to give. But I don't think in laboratory business, if you give too much to someone will give you back too much. So that is how the entire concept of ThyroCare franchisee worked. And I found in those days, thyroid testing machines were only working for 1 or 2 hours in the laboratory. I felt if it runs 24 hours,
Can you mute everybody, please?
Sir? Prashant? Prashant?
I have a request,
Prashant,
please.
you should respond, dear friend. You should respond, dear friend.
Please mute all of you, otherwise I won't be able to talk. Thank you. So, machine running 24 hours, if not 24 hours, 20 hours is a prosperity. Today we have a huge number of analyzers, big floors, 400,000 square feet. That's the story of ThyroCare. I can keep on talking, but I am sure anybody who is running a laboratory wants to run a laboratory, a technician in a laboratory, or a promoter in a laboratory, or an investor in a laboratory, all know what made ThyroCare what it is today. Now let us now come back to COVID. What has COVID brought in? It started in Wuhan. Without going to Shanghai, it went straight to New York. So people know what China's evil designs are. And even today, only 3,000, 4,000 people have died in China, where in India already 1 lakh people have died. I don't know how virus is very kind and nice to only Chinese. Having said that, for all European countries, UK and US, it has caused more damage than it has done to Indian cousins, and meaning Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. In this geography, we have only lost 60 deaths per million, whereas the Western cousins have lost 600 deaths per million. So when Italy happened, we became scared that India will become Italy. And we closed down everything with the 4 hours notice. And we have still not opened. 6 months have gone. 21 days lockdown, probably 20 lockdowns are over. And there is a challenge how to unlock. Everybody knows to lock it, no one knows to unlock it. Having said that, some of the estimates tell half of the population is already exposed. We are doing a COVID antibody test. We have done 5 lakh tests in these last 2.5 months. And latest figure says 38% of the population is having antibody, which says around 40% of the people have already got exposed, majority without knowledge. The happy news is this virus spreads fast, kills less. Otherwise, by now, it would have been a very big calamity. So, 100,000 people have died with 40% exposure. When 100% exposure comes, roughly around 2.5 lakh people will die. Whether this death will happen before December or before March 2021, that depends upon when the governments are opening the gate. If you don't open, there won't be herd immunity. And if there is no herd immunity, you have not succeeded, because vaccine is not around. It will take a lot of time for a vaccine to come. Minimum 6 months it will take, and drugs or therapy is not around. So without any drug, without any vaccine, herd immunity apparently is the only solution, but this virus is fairly safe. So is this a disruption? Yes, for the country, for the world, for the economy, for all businesses, it's a disruption. Airlines are gone, completely gone. Trains completely halted. Buses cannot run. Red bus has gone into red. So transportation has completely collapsed. Travel and tourism is zero. Goa, no one goes. Kashmir, no one goes. Bali, no one goes. Hospitality industry, zero. All hotels have banquet halls. None of them today are engaged. So these are all industries which have completely collapsed. The happy news for all those who are listening is the most positively impacted by COVID is healthcare industry. This consists of pharmaceuticals, hospitals, and diagnostics. Pharmaceuticals are doing very well on the hope somebody will come with a drug, somebody will come with a vaccine. All pharmaceutical companies are very busy. When there is a pandemic, the best business is for the pharmaceuticals. Next one is hospitals. Government is controlling. Government controlling also gives rise to one patient. One patient, just 1 minute, please. Yeah, one patient, they are charging 1 lakh rupee even for PPEs. So that is something too much, but government is controlling. So government hospital business is controlled by government, temporarily not that profitable, still substantial business is there. Laboratory business is going to enjoy a lot because there is no capacity limitation for laboratory. If your one laboratory is full, you can put one more laboratory in the same town in one more location or a nearby town or a nearby state or in all metros, everywhere you are quite open. So in my personal opinion, among these three, pharmaceuticals, hospitals and laboratories are most blessed. Let me tell you what, as a laboratory, we have undergone. Biggest laboratory, largest player, 400,000 investigation a day, all was only till March 20. Then comes the lockdown. What was 1.5 crore per day became 1.5 lakh per day. All expenditures are there, no income. Fortunate for us, government has permitted to do COVID PCR testing, and we were the first lab in the first list announced by Government of India, ICMR. So we started doing that. 200 tests per day was the capacity we had, because who knew PCR test will be this much needed? Trust me, in the world of 8 billion population, not even 8 million knew what is PCR. In these last 6 months, out of 8 billion, 5 billion people know what is PCR. So that's the power of COVID. That's the power of awareness, and it is now very different as a market. We scaled up from 200 per day today to 8,000 per day in Mumbai, and we have one more 8,000 per day in Delhi, and one more in Bangalore, and one more in Calcutta in plan. What I am saying is, COVID has not brought us disruption. It has given us an opportunity. The non-COVID business still not fully back, around 70-80% is back. And we hope by Diwali, 100% will be back. And we hope by March 2021, it will be 20% more than previous March 2020. So, it's an opportunity. And I want to come to the context of this background of laboratories and GenWorks interest in connecting me to address all of you. Laboratories all are not same. Hospitals all are not same. Indian all are not same. There is rich, there is poor. There is big hospital, there is small hospital. So there is a pyramid everywhere. So labs also, there is a pyramid, a laboratory which only does blood sugar, nothing else. A laboratory which does lipid profile and below it doesn't do thyroid. Then a laboratory which does thyroid and vitamin D, but it doesn't do PCR. And there is a laboratory which does only 3 PCR. It doesn't do any other tests, any other PCR test. So there is a segmentation like middle class, upper middle class, rich class. In the economy of the country and population, there is laboratory also, there is hospital also. Finally, if somebody doesn't have a PET CT, CT, MRI, they are not very big hospital. Then CT, MRI is still big hospital. PET CT, cyclotron, gamma knife is still big hospital. So there is everywhere. There is a spectrum. All cannot be the same. All cannot do everything. So there is a huge necessity to decide by every laboratory. Should I do this test by myself or should I get it outsourced? And I must tell you here, outsourcing is nothing wrong. We do in a day 400,000 tests a day. Some tests we have 50 a day. We don't do the test because in that test 50 a day is not making truly a business sense. So we also outsource, and everybody can outsource as much as you want. You can outsource as much as you can do. No one can tell you what you should do, what you should outsource, but your intelligence should tell, if I outsource this, I will have more time to focus on creating better market. And let me also tell you, there are only two kinds of people in laboratory business. One who can make machines to work, another who can get the business to the lab. Making machines to work, everybody can do, but getting business to the lab is the toughest task. So if you want to look for challenges, find out how to get more business to the lab. That means you must outsource as many as possible to very reputed brands. And there are enough reputed brands. These brands were very costly before the arrival of ThyroCare because they will only give 20% discount for collection. Today, you can demand straight 50%, 60%. Everybody gives. The best quality gives the highest reduction and the highest discount also. So learn to bargain, you will get the best. So testing which one, outsourcing which one, you have to take a call. But let me tell you, if you are doing business, don't settle with a small size. Without volume, there is no fun. Volumes means a lot. Volume you should be the largest in that city, you should be largest in that state, you should be largest in that part of the country. So looking for volume is a very big goal it should be. Volumes gives efficiency, volumes improve the quality, volumes makes you to afford automations, and volumes bring down the cost. And I want all of you to understand, April 2020, when the PCR market was about to open, I have purchased RT-PCR reagent for 1,000 rupees for amplification, 400 rupees for extraction, 1,400 rupees was the cost. Today, it is 300 rupees plus 100 rupees. within 6 months. Volume makes a lot of sense. Of course, they also disrupted, they also have a lot of challenges. So today market is having more supply than the demand. To begin with, there was more demand, no supply. But I want all of you to understand, dynamic market, dynamic pricing, volume plays a very big role, and you must work on volume. Without reach, volume doesn't come. We today do around 8,000 antibody tests every day. We have only started it 70 days back. Within 70 days, 7,000 tests per day. History has not seen. It has happened because we are present from Assam to Gujarat, and from Madurai to Chandigarh, we are present everywhere. So reach is very important. Without reach, volume doesn't come. And as I said, username password is going to rule. Which brand you have got and username password is your choice. You can afford to have brand username password of all best 5 brands in the country also. All of them will come to you at more or less same price. If you tell Thyrocare is giving at this rate, everybody will give at that rate. By the way, Thyrocare is the cheapest in the marketplace when it comes to B2B business. Become digital, ask for app, and use the app to upload the data, download the result, and these are all today necessary, and all of them are available. Change is constant. Suddenly the COVID has brought in so much of a change, and COVID has become catalyst. The entire healthcare industry will become COVID and non-COVID, like male and female toilet. Patients who go for infection will not get into other hospitals, and people who get for some lifestyle disorder will not get into infectious hospitals. Even laboratories will get segregated, and swab collecting laboratory and blood collecting laboratory, because both of them are very, very different religion. Trust me, all will have to undergo a huge change. So as I said, this have been the disruptions, this have been the opportunity, and I want the industry to understand today is September 30, Q2 is over for this financial year. I must tell you, this Q2 we have done 35% more than last quarter, same quarter, which means laboratories are benefited out of this kind of COVID pandemic. Make full use of the opportunity, and every avenue is there for laboratory for growth. So that is my inputs for this audience. As a monologue, I can keep on talking for hours. I want a few questions crisply to be asked, so that other speakers will have to share their expertise of setting up and running laboratories. Back to the moderator.
Thank you very much, Velumani sir. It was a really very knowledgeful and thought-evoking testing from you, and how we have done in COVID, and change is definitely the only constant in life. Next, we'll have Haridas sir. Haridas sir is there with us. The next speaker will be Haridas sir. Over to you, sir. Haridas sir.
Yeah, one second, I'm just connecting.
You are connected. We can hear you.
Connected.
We can see you and hear you, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Haridas from Cloud9 Hospitals, and also from Delta Diagnostics and Great Trinity Hospital. Today, my brief is to give a small talk on how to set up a laboratory. One second, I'll just.
Sir, your PPT is not seen.
Yeah, coming. Is it visible now?
No, not yet, sir.
Not yet? My video is on, video and audio is on.
sir, use that option, sir. Share tray.
Yeah, share tray.
Again desktop. Again your PPT, sir. That's it.
One second. Is it visible now?
Not yet, sir. It will come. It will take 5 to 6 seconds if you started sharing.
Okay.
So, sir, you have to press the share tray and then select the PowerPoint which you want to share it.
Has it come now?
No, sir, not yet. Not yet.
It was connected earlier. I don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nothing. After that mic symbol is there, no, sir. Video symbol, mic symbol. Then you have one square with arrow inside. So that one you have to press. And then background, you open PowerPoint, sir. Background. You minimize the Microsoft Teams
Okay.
window. Now
Yeah.
open the PowerPoint.
Yeah, PowerPoint is open now.
Now again you maximize the Microsoft Team window. In that,
Okay.
once you have maximized, now you go to that share tray square with the arrow is there, no, sir? After mic, press that.
Okay.
Then you need to select the PowerPoint from there. Desktop or PowerPoint. You will have option of desktop, window, PowerPoint like that. You will see the PowerPoint which has been opened on the background. Yeah. Started. Yes. So now we can see your Microsoft desktop you have selected. Minimize
Okay.
the desktop window, sir. Yes, minimize. Correct, sir.
It's visible now?
Visible. Yeah. Now you can go for
Okay.
slide slideshow mode, sir. Full screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Haridas from Cloud9 Hospitals, as well as Delta Diagnostics and Trinity Hospital, Bangalore. Today, I've been given a brief of how to set up a laboratory in a hospital. So, I will stick to my brief which has been given. I will not elaborate in detail. I will just give the bare minimum features about how to set up a laboratory. And to go to requirements of a laboratory, it can be broadly classified into space allocation, equipments, technicians, and the pathologist or the lab director. In space allocation, again, it can be divided into phlebotomy, laboratory section, and pathologist cubicle. So phlebotomy require about 10 feet to 12 feet, laboratory section about 15 feet to 30 feet, and pathologist cubicle will be around 6 feet to 8 feet. This is the minimum requirement what I have mentioned. As the number of tests increases, then we require more number of tests to be done and more equipment are needed. Of course, the space has to be provided accordingly. Among the equipments, again, can broadly classify into the different sections of the laboratory, namely the biochemistry, hematology, microbiology, clinical pathology, serology, histopathology, etc. Of course, the maximum number of tests which comes to the lab will be for the biochemistry, followed by hematology and subsequently microbiology, clinical pathology, and serology. the least will be for histopathology. In the biochemistry equipments, I have been given the brief to describe the difference between cartridge-based and the liquid or the wet chemistry or liquid-based chemistry. The cartridge-based or the dry chemistry, among which there are two instruments which are quite popular. That is, one is Vitros 250. The other one is the Fuji instrument. Both these are dry chemistry equipments which are cartridge-based. And the next will be the liquid chemistry or the wet chemistry. Again, we can be broadly classified into Roche, small volumes, the equipments coming from Roche, Mindray, Biosystems, etc. And for large volumes, we have equipments from Abbott, Beckman, Agape, etc. The cost of these equipments vary from 6 lakhs to 20 lakhs, depending upon the instrument. The Vitros 250 will be around 12 lakhs. The Fuji equipment will be around 7 lakhs. The other wet chemistry equipments based on the small volumes or large volumes, which varies from about 6 to 20 lakhs. The dry chemistry, the advantages are as follows. It's convenient to do the test. It has a very good reproducibility. It needs less number of calibrations. It requires less repeats, less water consumption, no carryover, and the reliable and accurate test results. The disadvantages of dry chemistry: one is the higher cost per test. This higher cost per test can be compensated by the less number of calibrations required and the less number of repeats needed. Of course, large volumes are required for this equipment. In wet or liquid chemistry, the advantages are as follows. It is less cost per test compared to the dry chemistry, more choices in the instruments. It varies from small auto analyzers, which are desktop analyzers, to high-end analyzers, which are floor models, which accordingly it requires the large space required for bigger instruments. The disadvantages of wet chemistry or liquid-based chemistry are as follows. More number of calibrations are required. More repeats can be possible. More water consumption is required. Carryover of previous sample is a drawback of low-end instruments. Of course, the high-end instruments have a very good laundry system where this problem is overcome. The larger analyzers require a distilled water plant. The reagents are less stable in wet chemistry, and there will be a lot of wastage of reagents, and then the frequent breakdowns is also one of the disadvantages. The next important equipment in the laboratory is a measurement of arterial blood gases, which is an important requirement for NICU. The ABG instruments can be again classified into cartridge-based equipment, namely instruments from instrumentation laboratory, radiometer, etc., and liquid reagent equipment, wherein the individual reagents are connected to the equipment. Example, radiometer, etc. There are several point-of-care instruments, namely from Epoch, from Alair, and ISTAT from Alinity. These are point-of-care small instruments which can be taken to the patient's blood side, and then the ABG can be measured with a finger prick blood. The only disadvantage of point-of-care instruments is the results are not as reliable as the cartridge-based equipment. The hematology equipments can be broadly classified into three-part differential cell counters, wherein you can differentiate. The WBC differentiation happens only between granulocytes, lymphocytes, and monocytes. It is suitable to start with, but it has its limitations. The five-part differential cell counters, wherein all the five WBC differential cell differentiation can happen, namely neutrophil, eosinophil, lymphocyte, monocyte, and monocyte. So again, these are ideal for all parameters and suitable for all purposes. If the volumes are really good, and if you expect a lot of low platelet count, then the five-part differential count with the flow cytometer is very much needed. This is a high-end cell counter, wherein the platelets can be measured accurately, and also it can determine the reticulocytes, and also the this high-end equipment can be used for body fluids also. The cost of these equipments ranges from, for a 3-part cell counter, which is around 3 to 4 lakhs now. Earlier it used to be very high. Now the cost has come down drastically. The 3-part cell counter will right now will cost around 3 to 4 lakhs, whereas the 5-part differential counts will be somewhere between 6 to 7 lakhs. The 5-part differential with flow cytometer will be around 12 to 13 lakhs. So depending on that requirement and the workload, then you can decide which instrument to choose from. Like, of course, you can also have a reagent rental module wherein if the volumes are really high, especially for flow cytometer cell counter, if the volumes are really high, you can go for a reagent rental module wherein the cost per test will be around 120 rupees. Next, the hormones and infectious markers. Again, it can be broadly divided into, for low volumes, or to start with, a mini-vidas analyzer. For high volumes, you can go for fully auto random access analyzers from Abbott, Ortho, Roche, Beckman, etc. So the cost of these equipments vary. To start with, the mini-vidas analyzer will be around 7 to 8 lakhs, which has a very broad test menu, and all the routine parameters can easily be performed in this analyzer. And then as the volume increases, you can go for a fully auto random access analyzer, which can take care of high throughputs, namely from Abbott, Ortho, Roche, or Beckman, etc. Again, you can have 2 modules. Either it can go for purchase if the budget is not a constraint, or if you go for a reagent rental module where you can purchase the reagents on a monthly basis, and the instrument will be provided free. The next section of the laboratory will be clinical pathology and microbiology. There are various equipments required for these sections of the laboratory, namely urine strip reader, microscope, incubator, centrifuges, water bath, coagulometer, and other miscellaneous equipments. The cost of these equipments may not be very high, but still these are essential requirements for a laboratory. The cost may range from 3 to 6 lakhs for all these equipments. Of course, the next important aspect of the lab will be the personnel required to run the laboratory. So among this, the pathologists and the technicians are the 2 important aspects. A suitably well qualified, experienced pathologist is very much a backbone of the laboratory for training and supervising the technicians, overall quality control, and releasing of the reports to check whether all the parameters entered and performed are correct, and then releasing the reports so that mistakes can be minimized. The laboratory technicians, again, they should be DMLT qualified or basic lab technician qualified. You require and sincere and hardworking and quality-oriented technicians are a boon to the laboratory, and they are the backbone. They are the backbone of the laboratory. So they are the very important people to do all the tests. Of course, last but not the least, lab helpers and housekeeping are very much essential to keep the entire premises clean and spick and span. The next important support required are from the consultants and from the management. The consultants should support and urge for the lab. The healthy discussions for improvement of the lab is always welcome. From the management side, to provide adequate space and infrastructure is very essential. Timely supply of laboratory equipments is needed. Adequate staff support, time-bound overall improvement. These are the few aspects which are required from the management, and they should be supported to the lab. The more you invest in the lab, the more revenue you can generate from the lab. And laboratory is a very important income generating aspect of the hospital. So the maximum investment you put into the laboratory, you can expect the similar returns from the laboratory. Thank you very much. I have just briefly concluded everything for how to set up a small laboratory. Of course, I have given only a brief introduction. There's a lot more to be discussed. Any feedback you want, you can just contact me. And thank you again for the organizers of the NNF Karnataka, and I thank one and all for giving me this opportunity. And thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, we'd like to request Adarsh sir, who will be speaking on IEM and sample collection and the technicalities involved in those things. Adarsh sir. Akash sir, Akash.
Sorry. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible now, but not visible.
One moment. Is it now? I've shared the screen.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Kishore and Prashant Gola to give me to providing me an opportunity to talk to the NNF forum. Basically, myself, Akash, started this activity lab as a managing director, founder. Sorry, the echo is coming. No.
Akash, your voice is breaking up in between. So
Is it okay now, sir? Is it okay now?
Now it's better.
Okay.
Now it's better.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Kishore and Prashant sir for giving me an opportunity to talk to the NNF forum. We started the activity labs with the intent to give a one-stop solution for newborn baby screening, which when we started, very few laboratories were offering the newborn screening, wherein they were only doing the screening. But what is needed for a actionable input for the clinician was to diagnosis. So that is when I was started my career with a private company as a application scientist for mass spectrometer. And when I was looking at most of the applications, starting from environmental to food and pharmaceutical, uh, medical was a newer, emerging field at during 2000 time. And when we get to know that neonatal screening was started by few laboratories, and we get to know there are so many lacunas wherein they were able to screen the babies but were not being able to conclude the diagnosis. So that is when as I did my PhD, and I had a lot of research interest, and I knew how to apply the technology more so on the mass spec for the diagnosis of it. So we first thing that we did was we spoke to a few clinicians, including Dr. Kishore, and we started this lab. And initially, first 3 years was a big challenge because it is a specialized testing. We to make it commercially viable, as well as to make our laboratory more sensible and acceptable to the clinicians. It was really first 3 years was very challenging, and then onwards, because few cases which we diagnosed and supported for treatment, which made a huge difference to the most of the clinicians in and around Bangalore. And that is how the Acuity now is one of the most foremost laboratory in India. We are catering to across India, even few other outside India as well, Dubai and other places as well. We are catering our services, and this was possible only because of the quality of testing and the support by most of the clinicians, because of the speciality in nature, and not every big volume laboratories which were not been able to cater to. So with that, I would like to start my topic, that is the sample collection and transport method for rural urban hospitals, what a neonatologist and intensivist should know. The agenda that I am covering in this is what is the newborn screening, which all of you know it, and what are the collection factors that is involved in DBS collection, and what is to be kept in mind before collecting sample and during collection, and after collection, what are the things that we need to keep in mind for a better quality of results. The third one is the DBS sample transport, which is most important because that determines the TAT of the test. Most important of all is the TAT, because the speed at which the results come to the clinician, that would help the clinician to quickly take an action towards the disorder detected. So newborn screening, as you all know, it is a simple blood test to find out baby if it has any serious birth defect or hidden disorder which are not apparent at birth. Most of the babies, most of them are going to be normal, but few babies may have these conditions. But at birth, we would not be able to absolutely distinguish one that baby have the condition and the baby that does not have the condition. So the newborn screening is the only way to save the babies of those babies who are having these hereditary conditions. So if we are able to do the newborn screening, it can prevent neonatal morbidity and mortality. That is one of the biggest problem most of the babies face at the initial stages of baby's birth. And other biggest challenge is the intellectual disabilities because of these disorders, and growth retardation, unexplained death. So these are the common. There are many other disabilities that due to the metabolic disorder or hereditary disorder can lead to. So this is newborn screening is one of the most successful top 10 great public health achievements of 21st century. As far as CDC data is concerned, this is one of the most successful public health program. So this is almost over 50 years successful program it is. That is where we are still not in a position to establish this newborn screening across India, but this is a 50 years program and it has been celebrated across the globe, and many developed nations have adopted it as a routine test. This is not a luxury test that is done to the babies born in only corporate hospital. This is a basic test that every baby needs it for its survival. Incidence of newborn IEMs are globally it is more than 1 in 1,000. But in India, we do not know what is the incidence rate, because the number of screening that we are doing is very, very less than a few percentage. So hence it is very important to undertake the screening as a public health program or even the private affair. It has to be done for every baby that is born in this country, and they deserve it. And more so, our country needs it because the consanguinity in India is almost 70%, more than 70%, versus the developed country where it is less than 20%. So it makes it furthermore important because when there is a consanguinity, the incidence of such disorders are quite high. And what are the benefits of newborn screening? As I said earlier, it is earlier we diagnose it, we can initiate the treatment immediately. Once we diagnose it, we can start the treatment, counsel the patient, do the prenatal testing in future for the second babies if they want to go for it. If a parent is having a condition, and it is definitely 50-50 chances that the second baby or the third baby following babies will have the similar kind of disease or disorder. So it becomes this disease. This newborn screening is not only for the current baby, but also the forthcoming babies are also potentially have this condition. So it becomes important to consider for every baby that are born to undergo for the newborn screening. And if it is negative, it is basically rule out about 60 plus disorder which are treatable disorder, rules out. And if it is present, then that's normally 1 or more than 2 conditions are very rare. So normally 1 conditions in 1 baby, what we have seen. So immediately the treatment regime can be established, and counseling of patients and future planning can be done. So this is a newborn screening definitely make difference. This is a picture which shows where both the siblings are having a condition. One of the baby is treated, another baby is not treated. The baby girl is treated, so she's absolutely normal, and the boy who is not screened, I mean, could not get the benefit of screening, which otherwise he would have lived a normal life just like a other baby girl. So newborn screening definitely make a difference to the every newborn babies. Newborn screening is very simple blood test, and more importantly the collection of sample and transportation. So that is the biggest advantage. That is what has made the newborn screening can be done across the globe. The sample collected in the remotest place can be sent to any part of the world, because the sample kind of sample that we take is a dried blood sample, which is an ideal specimen for routine newborn screening for IEM. Advantage is minimal invasive method employed in order to collect the sample. Simplified logistic. All you need is the collect the sample, dry the blood, and put it into an envelope and send it to the laboratory via courier or via sample pickup boys. So various methods can be adopted, and completely reduced biohazard. So there is, as it is dried, there is a very less potential to any kind of biohazard to create because of the dried sample, and significantly reduces the cost of transportation, and ideal for sampling at home, even in a smallest clinic. This can be undertaken. And more behind all this, all the IEM related biomarkers are relatively stable in dried blood spot, unlike other liquid samples like urine or the other samples, plasma or the serum. And it is least affected by heat or humidity up to 7 to 10 days, up to 14 days as I treat. So, and in addition, this same blood spot can also be used as a genetic resource. It could be used for a genetic confirmation, or in future any genetic study to be undertaken for that baby. The same residual blood spot can be used for doing the genetic confirmations. And also the same blood spot can also be used for monitoring the baby. If a baby is having a condition which can be, if it is to be monitored for the treatment monitoring, if we have to do it every time, we have to take mLs of blood from the baby, which is a very, very tiny baby where we can't collect some mLs of blood on a daily basis. In the beginning stage, there are a lot of repetitions are required in order to establish the proper treatment regime. So with the dry blood spot, we can still do even the monitoring of the babies with conditions. So we had one case MSUD in one of the lab in the hospital in Bangalore, which was in coma, and when they contacted one of the US doctor, he wanted leucine isoleucine values for the baby on a daily basis, and if it was to be leucine isoleucine and valine to be analyzed, it has to be mLs of serum or the plasma has to be collected, and then they have to do the HPLC analysis, which was taking almost a week time to just get one sample analyzed and reported, which we immediately, when we understood there is a baby needs this kind of services, all we did is with the same blood spot, we established the method, and we were able to give the leucine, isoleucine, which are isomers. Normally in the newborn screening, regular TMS screening, it does not differentiate. So we have developed a method to separate them and then quantify the individual analytes and also the valine. So this is what is most important in order to adjust the treatment. So this helped the parents and the doctor to just take a drop of blood on a filter paper and send it to the lab, get a result on a daily basis. Within 5 days, the baby started shaking the hand and started coming back to life. And within 10 days, the baby was discharged out of the NICU. And now this baby is transplanted, liver transplantation is done, and living an absolutely normal life just like any other babies. So this is a couple of success stories of dry blood spot based not only screening, even for the diagnosis. Blood sample we normally collect on a specialized filter paper which has 5 spots in it and a information sheet. This is very important. This contains all the patient related information, history, and their details of the demographic details, and also the case history of the baby. And this has to be completely filled in before sending it. It has to be ensured that all the more the information, better is the diagnosis. If we know that baby is a premature, so we know that there are some analytes that are going to be elevated. For example, tyrosinemia is quite common in premature babies, or congenital adrenal hyperplasia. False positive is quite high in case of premature babies. So the more the demographic information, better is the diagnosis. So it is important to ensure that all the details are filled in order to get a best quality of results and the reports. So sample collection, there are various factors one need to consider. Most importantly, the sample collection itself. So for which, for a better collection of sample, it is important that we train the collection staff or nurses in the hospital. And if we train them properly so that we can get a good spot, if we don't get a good spot, we would not be able to get a proper quantitation of analytes. So if there is any equivocal results, it would warrant again a repeat sampling. So that's where it is important that staffs are trained to undertake this kind of special testing done. And time of collection, it is definitely a very, very important parameter, because we are testing the metabolic disorder. If it is collected before the babies are fed at least 3 to 4 feeding, we obviously know that baby would not show up those biomarkers which otherwise are going to show up in the blood. So ideally, it is preferred 48 hours after the baby's birth, sample need to be collected. If it is for any emergencies, if it has to be collected before 24 hours or just after 3-4 feeds, then it needs to be repeated after a week or a 2 weeks, whenever the baby again comes for the follow-up visit. So if it is more than a week time or delayed in doing this testing, the baby will divide of getting the early detection and treatment regime started. So earlier is the better, but it need not be earlier than the 48 hours, because there are certain metabolites which need to stabilize, and in order to reduce the false positive and false negative, it is important that we collect the sample after 48 hours unless it is emergency. And sample type that we collect, routinely it is a dry blood spot for the newborn screening sample. If the baby is suspected for organic acidemia, then in that case DBS and urine sample together if it is sent, because laboratories and hospitals where they are present in the same location or the same city, then it is easy to get the urine sample done on the same day or the following day. But if it is far away places, it is important that they send with a DBS and a urine sample if the organic acidemias are suspected. So in all cases, in normal cases, definitely DBS is the most preferred specimen, wherein all the biomarkers are going to be showed up in the blood first, and also they are stable in the blood, unlike in the other forms. So if the baby is suspected for amino acid disorder or fatty oxidation disorder, then DBS and a plasma sample would be the best to send it in the same go if it is sent from far away places. So other details like case history. If we know that baby is previously siblings had a condition, and then it becomes important for us to ensure that double check it if the baby really does not have any conditions. Sometimes how much ever we take care of it, it is laboratory can make errors. It is not that 100% foolproof, because it is the end of the day we are all there is a it is a manual interventions are involved. It is not like a completely automation systems. These are all semi-automated systems, so there are chances always there are errors to happen. So when there is a details are given, it would further reduce the. Otherwise we might give a report which might turned out to be negative, and later on it turned out to be positive. So it is always good to have these case details or history, so that there will be a double check to ensure that babies checked thoroughly before releasing the report. So, and the symptoms like hyperammonia, hypoglycemia. So again, these details are very, very important, because we know that these are all very much related to the IEMs. Hyperammonia, invariably it comes in cases where the babies are having amino acidopathies. If there is a urea cycle disorder, ammonia levels are going to be quite elevated. So the same way, if there are seizures, 70% of the babies which having biotinidase deficiency, they supposed to be having seizures. So these some of the symptoms that we see, if it is reported in the case, I mean in the sample collection form, it would really help the laboratory to correlate the data and try to give the best quality of results. In some cases, baby might need the blood transfusion. In such cases, if the transfusion is done after 24 hours of the baby's birth, then collection of sample prior to transfusion is very much needed. If it is baby transfusion, I mean the transfusion is done before 24 hours, collect the specimen prior to the transfusion, and also after 2 to 4 days after the transfusion. Basically, what happens when we take the one more sample after 2 to 4 days, we would know if once the baby start feeding, and if there are any metabolites start showing up in the blood, we would be able to immediately report to the clinician so that they could take care of it. Unless and until blood disorder like hemoglobinopathies or any other disorders which requires a longer time, but other metabolites can be looked at immediate after 2 to 4 days after the transfusion. And if the transfusion is required and no sample was collected prior to transfusion, in such case, again, the sampling should be done 2 to 4 days, first one, 2 to 4 weeks, a second specimen, and after 90 days, a third specimen. Because if we are not done the collection before 24 hours, then we might miss the hemoglobinopathies. So it is better that after 90 days, if we do it, we would be able to cover all the conditions. And another parameter that we invariably come across is the total parenteral nutrition. As a protocol, if a baby is under TPN, Normally, it is a baby should be breastfed and the sample should be collected after 24 hours. But in a sick babies, babies are not breastfed but TPN underway. In such cases, it is required that before 3 hours of the sample collection, TPN should be interrupted so that we can reduce the false positives, particularly in cases where the babies are having TPN is infusion is underway. There will be elevated amino acids and multiple elevation of amino acids are seen. So it is in order to reduce the false positives. It is important that we disconnect TPN and 10% dextrose can be given to the baby and then collect the sample. And interpretation of the results also depends on clinical status of the newborn, like gestational age and the baby's weight, prematurity. These are all very important because if the gestation week is lower, and then the cutoffs will also change accordingly. So it is important that we have the gestation week of the baby and also the baby's weight, so that is both are interlinked. And once we know this data, so accordingly we use the appropriate cutoff, or repeat will also be suggested for such cases. The sample collection is simple. Normally it is a yield prick what is used, but it is also possible if bilirubin is when bilirubin sample is collected, same time the few drops of blood can be collected onto the filter paper as well. So that way we don't have to do a multiple time pricking the baby. In otherwise, yield prick is the most commonest practice across the globe, wherein the what is showed in the picture, etched region are the most safest place to prick the baby and collect the sample. First thing that we need to do is the baby seal has to be cleaned with alcohol swab and dried thoroughly, and then using specialized needle, which is normally about 2.4 or 2.2 mm depth needle is used. These are all specialized neonatal lancets are available, using which the puncturing of the eel is done, and first drop, once it start oozing, should be wiped off, and following drops can be put into the filter paper as shown in the figure. And there should not be any overlaying of the sample. We need to just wait until a big drop of blood forms and then just touch the filter paper. It would form a very nice circle what is shown in the filter paper. So in order to use the lancet, one must know how to make the eel ready, warm it if sometimes the blood oozing won't be so easy. So it is sometimes it is required to warm the eel before collecting the sample, so that we get a good flow of blood and we can fill in all the circles with the required amount of sample without overlaying on it. So once the samples are collected onto the filter paper, air dry the dry blood spot and store them in store them in the fridge until it is shipped to the lab. Sample collection, one more important factor is the sample quality. The satisfactory sample is very important for laboratory to take up that sample. So before sending the sample, it is also important to see the blood spot whether it is satisfactory to send it to the lab. So the one that I am showing marking A is the right specimen, which is satisfactory to the laboratory, wherein other specimens either they are not completely filled, because basically when it is not completely filled, it is not saturated completely. So there is a hematocrit distribution, and the analyte quantification would directly depends on the blood spot volume. So it is important that we have the blood spot taken with a complete circle filled in. Otherwise, the quantitation won't be appropriate. And overlaying is should be avoided. So this is cases where the sample are overlaid, and some cases this is not dried before shipping. It is important that it should be dried. Normally in India, I guess it should be 1 hour, half an hour to 1 hour, depending on the year, I mean season. One can by visually we can make out the half an hour to 1 hour should be good enough to dry the blood spot in an horizontal fashion, and then put it in an envelope and store it in the refrigerator until it is transported to the laboratory, or until it is picked up by the respective labs. So sample collection, it is turnaround time is most important, because when the babies is sick, babies' lives are at stake. It is hours, not the days, that may make a difference. So it makes a huge difference when babies' lives at stake. It is hours, not the days, are important. So it is important to have all these parameters are taken care, so that we have the proper collection done and transported to the lab to get the right quality of results. And next one is the after the sample is collected and stored in the refrigerator. Once the sample to be picked up by the either the laboratory personnel who comes and picks up from the hospitals, if it is in the same city. Otherwise, it is going to be either through speed post or courier or bus services. Sometimes, personally, what we have seen is some cases the couriers are quite delayed. There are some places where the bus convenience are good. It is easy to send it through a bus, and next day morning you get the sample. It would work like as if it is in the same city, because overnight the samples are delivered to the another city, and the laboratory picks up from the collection bus depot and do the analysis. It looks like it just a same city services what we would have done it. Just transportation, if it is taken care, it is across the country, it is easy to do it. Now we have been doing it from Chandigarh and even from Delhi, Gurgaon, and now north and south complete. We have been able to deliver that kind of report because of the speed at which we are getting it, because we have a flight services now, and also the local, if it is a nearby cities, so overnight journey, then bus services are there. So we are taking the whichever the best and fastest route, and to get the sample delivered to the lab at the fastest time. And once the sample received, within 8 hours to 12 hours, we should be able to release the reports. So that's where the sample transportation is very, very important. That's where the most of our time is going to be. Otherwise, the analysis time is very, very less, but it's the sample receiving from the different location is the biggest challenge. If we can take care of that, the sample results can be provided just within 12 hours time. And this is the in brief about the sample collection and transportation. And with this, I would like to conclude. I thank all for giving me an opportunity to talk to this forum. Thank you, Kishore sir. Thank you, Prashant sir.
Yep. Yes, Dr. Akash.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful presentation. And now the session is open for questions. So we request our attendees, delegates who are attending the session to kindly post it in the chat box, or they can unmute themselves and ask the question. Before that, I would like to invite Dr. Biregoda He is one of the panelists, and I request him to share his experience and his difficulties relating to the today's topic. So we have three speakers: Dr. Velumani, Dr. Akash, and Dr. Haridas. Over to Dr. Biregoda. You can share your experience pertaining to today's topic. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you,
Biregoda.
Dr. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Prashant, sir. I'm very much thankful to invite me to this session to share my views. And I could see the vast experience which has been given by the stalwarts in front of me. Thank you, all of you, sir. It's a great experiences, whatever you people have shared. Yeah, coming to the experience, what we have. I'm running a show on a hospital in Kolar in one of the rural areas. Uh, yeah, when we started our hospital, we had an issue like whether to start a laboratory or not. Initially, when we started, I think we don't know how the hospital will run, whether the patient will come or not. So to start with, what I did was I just brought a hematology analyzer, that is CBC analyzer, and to start with, we just only put only CBC analyzer to see whether the patient input will come or not. To our surprise, I think CBC analyzer initially we had a thinking that we could make up to 10 or 12. Somewhere we can equate and run the equalize the cost of the machine as well as the chemicals we could run. But to our surprise, over a period of time, we could run more number of cases, CBCs, and so only we started establishing the lab. So the message for those people who want to start the hospitals like us, I think it's always best to have a attached laboratory uh, because it can generate the income and it can take care of so many things in the hospital. And also one main important thing is it will give the results immediately. Once the results are out, I think we can take a decision. As a clinician, we can take a decision what to do, what not to do. The thing here, the question comes as our first speaker, Tyreke sir, was speaking, like when to, uh, like what test to keep for us and what test to refer. So initially we started with the CBC mission. Later we bought a biochemistry analyzer where it will give us LFT, RFT, which is very important, which is quite commonly we write, and also electrolytes machine and urine analyzer. So step by step, we got an establishment like that. Later on, what we did is we moved on to the uh, like getting attachment to the higher laboratory, because in between we used to get a test like thyroid test and all. We could not put it initially for the hospital in a small hospitals like us. So what we started doing is we got an attachment to the like well-known laboratories where yeah, that name has been made and the quality has been given. So we went in for the attachment. So the thing is, we are running the show with the regularly running CBC and biochemistry analyzer, along with the rare tests like thyroid test and some kind of whatever this hormonal tests and any pathology, histopathology slides, all these things. We got an attachment to the well-reputed laboratories. And I think once we send the sample to those laboratories, we are going to get the results. Maybe a bit late, but still it's not late for the rural setups like us, because within 48 hours we may get the results. So that's the attachment what we started having. I think thereby we could complete our hospital laboratory and give the results to the people who come to us. Sharing the experiences in our laboratory, what is very important when we run a laboratory like us, initially to start with, it comes with the quality. Like one is initially, like we wanted to run the laboratory without losses. I think uh, about a sample of 10 to 15, definitely it will run not run with the losses. And more than that, next thing what we may have to think is quality. What is very important is once we started establishing our laboratory, we faced the quality problem. Like example, we used to once we run a CBC and get the report to us, and people used to compare the same CBC and take the blood sample to another standard laboratory and take the same with the same blood, or they go and give the blood there and come with a CBC report and show us the report. There is little bit change. For example, if the total count in our laboratory is somewhere around 16,000, it varies with lab to lab. Sometimes the machine also with the same sample, if you feed for the second time, the same 16,000 counts may show it as 17,000 or 14,000. So these are the challenges what we may have to convince the patient, saying that 1,000 or somewhere around 200, 300 counts difference may come with the same machine itself. Even if I feed for the second time also, we may get the same result. And these are all the common errors, what are common challenges what we used to face with the patient. And especially during the dengue season, the challenges what we used to face is this platelet count difference. People used to go to some other laboratory and get platelet count of somewhere. Suppose, let's say I have done a CBC, I have run the CBC and showed the platelet count of somewhere around 70,000. Another machine they run somewhere else and come with a 1,10,000 and show us the difference. Keep both the laboratory reports in front of us. So there also we add a lot of challenges to face, and we may have to counsel the parents and counsel the patient, saying that this difference may happen with the laboratory to laboratory. It is not an important issue. Clinically, what we see the patient is very important. So in that way, these are all the challenges what we faced when we started our laboratory. But over a period of time, once the laboratory gets its name in the same hospital, over a period of time, I think people will get acquainted, and we need to go in for the quality running. Quality running comes with the maintenance of a same staff and maintenance of the instruments. And I think as our legend speakers were speaking, I think we need to take standard instrument any point of time. If you go for the low quality instrument, again your quality of the test also will go down. So that is also very important. I think once we buy a standard instrument and every day you run the test and again run the samples, I think probably we can maintain the quality. Every day we have to insist on to the standards. Probably with that, I think quality can be maintained for a longer duration. And if we need higher tests, suppose it depends on the samples. So for a small hospital, we can have a basic models, as one of the legend was speaking, like 3-pot we can go for it. And as the sample rises, probably we can go in for the 5 pots, and biochemistry analyze also. Automated is there and fully automated is there. Once we have more samples, we can go in for the more fully automatized analyzer. Thereby, we can give the results immediately. And we are definitely running our laboratory very neatly now. We took almost 1 year to stabilize the lab to get all the things perfectly run. After that, I think the lab is running definitely very nicely, and it is giving us a even some kind of generation of the income where it can sustain and maintain the laboratory as well as few of the things in the hospital. And I think coming to the inborn error of metabolism, where the lab we need to send the samples. I think it's a very huge help. Even in fact, we had a link up with the acuity lab also. Whenever we had a problems where our newborns we are unable to diagnose, the baby is in coma, and we need to send a sample. So we had a link up with the laboratories like whatever the genetic screening, all those things, and we could take up the blotting paper on whatever the sir was showing, and that blotting paper once it is being sent, we are getting the results. And one important point what I want to stress is, I think those people who are involved in this screening of the inborn error of metabolism. I have got a link up. I should definitely tell a good word about them is that the moment they have something positive or some enzyme abnormality is there, they are going to call us back and tell us this is the thing. And sometimes in our clinical busy schedule, we may miss off some of the points to give them clinical brief. That is the point of time they are going to call us back and ask us what is happening with the case clinically, whether the case is improving or not. So that is the best thing what they are doing. And one negative aspect about that is the cost is bit high. This I'm talking in relation to the rural background what we have. What kind of patients what we get here is many a times once the patient or the baby has gone in for the coma stage or where the prognosis is bit ambiguity, like where we tell them a guarded prognosis. Majority of the time, the moment you tell them the cost of the IEM screening goes in somewhere around 4 to 5,000. So that is the place where they may withdraw the support also, and people may not be acceptable to do the screening test. So that is one negative aspect where I think as the number of screening samples rises, probably there are chances that the cost of the test may come down. I think there are many experiences to share. I think as with the discussion goes on, I think I'll keep sharing. Over to you, Prashant.
Thank you, Dr. Biregoda. Thank you. So now I request Dr. Sheshagiri sir to pertaining to the today's topic. We have three speakers who have spoken really well. We wanted our panelist, Dr. Sheshagiri sir, to add on few things, and any queries or anything related to the challenges, you can always direct the question to our speakers. Over to you, Dr. Sheshagiri sir. Kindly unmute yourself, sir. Kindly unmute yourself. Sheshagiri sir, kindly unmute. Yes.
Hello, now is it audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Dr. Prashant, for inviting me as a panelist in this session. I think all the aspects are nicely covered by Dr. Haridas, Akash, and Velumani sir. And Biru Gowda also added very important practical points. And the only thing is probably I would like to add one most important thing is bottom line. Many will be hesitating, the newcomers, even in this clinic also, if the clinic is there, they have to have their side lab, not only in NICU and hospitals. And because pharmacy and this lab is going to give a good returns in the long term. That we have to remember, everybody has to remember. And most of them, they just get satisfied with whatever their OP and other things. And who are having, especially the inpatients, the NICU, they have to have side lab because there is no alternative. Because we have to get the sepsis screen done immediately and upgrade our antibiotics, blood culture facility should be there. And the most important is, again, we have to have at least this transportable, easily this cartridge-based capillary blood test. That is must, I think. And again, bottom line, we have to have some side lab. And other thing is probably it doesn't. We need not invest much of because most of the companies are nowadays providing all the best equipments on the rental basis. Only thing we have to use, we have to pay them the reagent cost at the end of the month. So we should not hesitate to have a side lab in our hospital. Even the smallest of the small hospitals, they should have one. And apart from that, if they want to go, as Velumani sir was telling that we should have for the investigations where you cannot have the big equipment or sophisticated investigations. Definitely, you should have a tie-up with the best of the organizations, and also you have to have the best bargaining them. You can almost bargain up to 40-50% nowadays. So these two things are important. One thing is we should have a lab, and as Veeragoda was telling, the quality control is very important. We should concentrate on daily basis. And the second most important thing is we have to have a good tie-up with the lab so that we can get all the investigations in our setup itself. I think most of the points are being covered. Let us, because another only 15 minutes are left, so that let us go to the any questions or any queries. Thank you, Prashant, giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Dinakar, sir. Dinakar, sir. Yeah. So meanwhile, we request our attendees, if they have any question, they can directly unmute and directly ask question to our speaker and panelist. Yeah. I can see. Yeah. Dr. Naresh Prasad, sir, you have any question? Yeah. So the session is open now for the questions.
And this is Abid, Dr. Prashant.
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
This is Abid Bashir. So I am here as a healthcare profession. I have a question to sir. What type of if we have to go for a outsource the testing, what type of a testing we should go for a outsource, and what type of a machine should be there as a basic machine with the hospitals? Is there anything you are suggesting that we can go to the labs? Okay, these are the equipment you should buy as a mandatory, or these are the equipment you should go for the outsource?
You want me to answer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Right. So that all depends upon how big a canvas you have, how big a capability you have to build volumes. Generally, you should have a photometry machine so that you can do blood sugar, lipid profile, liver profile, and this is not a very costly instrument. If you want to go for semi-automated, it will be a lakh or two. If you want to go for fully automated, it will come for even 6-8 lakh rupees. So there is a need to have first a photometry, then a CBC, which is either a 3-part, I think to begin with a 3-part, and then graduate to 5-part. So having a CBC and having a photometry, that is the biochemistry, is mandatory for a laboratory to do a few things, basic things. Within 2-3 hours, you can produce results, and you must have that. So until you have 10 thyroid per day, you should outsource to laboratories who are doing thyroid test and given you the best price. Only when, I think I will tell you this chemistry of the laboratory. If you get 20 blood sugar a day, you will have 5 lipid profile a day. If you have 20 lipid profile a day, you will have 5 thyroid a day. And if you have 20 thyroid a day, you will have 5 vitamin D a day. So like that, it is supposed to be like a funnel. In the funnel, the most frequently asked are blood sugar, CBC, and lipid profile. Medium is immunoassays, that is thyroid, vitamin D, vitamin B12, HbA1c kind of things. And then comes the costly test like cancer markers, tumor growth markers, cardiac markers. The problem is, it is not that those tests cannot be done in the same machine which you are doing vitamin D. But if you don't have 10 specimen a day, running it on your own is not going to give you more profit. So always it is believed that you start working, look at the volume. If the volume is too high and if you are making somebody else richer, please do the test by your own. Not until you have volume, you should invest, because there is a punchline of mine. A standing machine is a liability. A running machine is an asset. Don't just because you have money, don't create a liability. As machine, when it stands, you have to service it. You have invested money on it, and if it doesn't give you returns, it is going to eat all your resources. So I would suggest that first to be started, you must have the basic biochemistry and CBC. It is not too costly, and nowadays people are giving you dry chemistry, which is buy at X, sell at 3X. You have 1X profit, 1X the cost of operating. This is business. So then when you go to the higher test, you can take a call when to do and when not to do. And there is a likelihood you may not have to do at all, because some of the laboratories, big branded laboratories, are coming and touching your laboratory, holding your hands and requesting, I can give you any rate, please don't do yourself. But you must have volume. And if you have volume, outsourcing is still a better option, because you get, at the cost of reagent, you get the services also. I think that is my inputs. If there is a next question, I will answer.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. I am Dr.
Good evening.
Dinakar.
Yes.
Sorry to trouble you. Sir, it is like this. Telling, sorry, sir, your experience is vast, but my talk will be little harsh. But the thing is, because we have to get a correct information, that is the reason I'm asking you. I know that unless in your repeated experience, 20 years, 20 years, 20 years, I think so. We are not even off into that. I think so. Whatever you are 60 years, my age is just 50 years. In that, I want to ask you one question, sir. You are telling, try to get the volume first. For that, you have to put the effort. Not machine is running. You should keep on running to get the volume. Yes. For that, we should have, suppose, see, Dr. Bire Gowda, my counterpart is as a moderator. Suppose if we need a simple five parameter hematology and a fully automated biochemistry, if we will buy. So people are telling us to go ahead with initially with a 3, but 5 parameter will tell nowadays even monocytes is more increases in COVID. So why to go with a 3? So there is a question mark. Once again, if you'll go for a hematology 3 or 5, come to the biochemistry. Yes, if you'll go the biochemistry, it will give per hour this much. Yeah, but fully automated, everything it will clean. Then number 1, suppose if you will take a good machine, it is not a cartridge, it is a once again glass based cartridge, such that we need not clean. Nowadays, you know, if you will buy the lower quality, the cartridges, they won't clean. Then once a report will be coming abnormal. So if it is biochemistry and hematology, even though if we will buy, the people do suggest, just now you told us in your talk, go ahead, and even Dr. Haridas was telling, go ahead and buy a good, a reputed company, best Roche and something. Yeah, it's very good. So some people are telling Horiba machine, Japan, it's very good. Some people are telling Yerba machine, either it is a European Republic of Chechnya or somewhere, it's very good. How a common doctor, non-pathologist or non-microbiologist should decide which machine to buy, 5, 3, biochemistry, which company? This is my one question, sir. Second question is whether to go with the immunoassay hormonal study. If it is there, people do come to us. If we don't buy, it is. But in that 1,20,000 to 6 lakh machine is also there. So biomerics or something. You have to suggest us.
I thought you were going to ask a harsh question, and I was very scared how harsh the question will be. And you have given too many questions, and it was not easy for me to spot exactly in the entire talk where is the question. Having said that, all of us get married. We don't ask anybody to suggest what kind of girls we should get married. And all of us take up a job. Sometimes whatever job comes, we don't ask which this company is good or this company is good. Only after getting inside, you will know which company is good. Similarly, there are some people who will come and promise too many things, but they may not deliver that. That risk is always there, even in laboratory purchases. So if you ask me, help me to identify who is the honest vendor and which machine is the best machine, my answer is I cannot tell you that easily. But having said that, the best brands are the best machines. And best brands, best machines, but they're costly. So it's once again like buying a dress. If you want to buy a branded dress, you have to pay it 70%, 60% higher. So I would always suggest, please don't settle with unknown brand. Please don't go by the marketing man's marketing pitch. If you have a couple of friends, you make a visit to such laboratories and find out what machines they have. Of course, all machines, whoever has a machine, they may not be happy with the vendor. They may talk negative. But it is a matter of trial and error. You must take. But if somebody is giving a reagent rental, accept it, because then the risk is not on you. But the reagent rental man will not give you without a volume commitment. So a lot of things are there. If it is step 1, step 2, step 3, money, everybody can do. But it is step 10 and step 20, and then some money you will be able to see. So I am not discouraging you, but I am telling you, you only can take risk and experiment. It's very difficult for me to tell. I know which species is good when you have 500 samples a day. When you have 5,000 samples a day, which machine is good, I can tell you. When you have 50,000 specimens a day, it's I can very blindly tell by this. But when you don't have 5 specimens per day, it's very difficult for me to suggest. Maybe some of your colleagues who are operating daily some 50 samples, 100 samples, can give you some knowledge if they have some experience with multiple brands. But having said that, every man can give an opinion about one wife which he has, not every wife in the society. Every man who has seen one brand can give opinion about that brand, not every brand. And if somebody is talking about every brand, don't trust it, because he would only talk from hearsay. You must be confused. Trust me, I don't have true answer for your harsh question. Next question, please.
No, sir. Sorry. Okay. So about hormonal study. So just for the beginning hospital, but we should have it. Which patient once again patient, because you are telling or not. Even Haridas also sir after sir's this thing.
I am telling
Hormone.
you, if you don't have 10 samples a day, don't buy a machine.
Yeah.
So once you have 10 samples a day, then you start looking for which one is good. Again, there are machines which are costing for thyroid, a machine which is as low as 5 lakhs to as high as 1 crore. Now, big machines are not ideal for small labs, so you have to go for a small machine. And the small machine, if you ask for thyroid, if you buy the machine, they will tell you, I will give you 100 rupees per test. If you tell, I don't want to buy a machine, they will tell you 150 rupees per test. And you feel safety is taking it at 150 without buying the machine, please go for it. And if you have a cash and you don't want to waste money, you buy the machine and risk and work. There is no one in this market without any credibility selling thyroid machine. Thyroid machines, whoever is selling, they have a credibility. They may not be the ultimate machine. When you are at 10 per day, you buy that machine. When you cross 50 per day, buy one more. That by this time, change another brand. And if you cross 100 per day, you change one more brand. So it's a journey. You can't buy it from the beginning itself, the best machine without workloads. That's unnecessary investment and risk and pain. Next question.
Sir, can I invite Dr. Haridas sir?
Yeah.
Sir, would you like to add a few inputs to this, sir? Sir, this is a basic question. Yes, sir. Sir, this is a basic question which most of us have. Whoever is planning, they'll always have this particular question, and Velumani sir has very nicely has put it across in a very, very practical, very raw, and very real way. Now, I request Haridas sir to give his perspective and his views. Over to you, sir. Haridas sir.
Yeah, as already told you, Dr. Velumani has covered it very well actually. Nothing very more to add to it. Only thing I can tell is to start with, you don't have to invest a very huge amount. Like as Dr. Velumani has said, to start with, you have to have only a small semi-auto analyzer and a small 3-part cell counter. So those two are the basic instruments. As and when to improve the volume or the footfalls of the patient, then you can add one by one depending on the volume. The most important thing is the volume. Like unless you improve the volumes, your lab cannot be sustainable and it cannot give you good profits. So you have to work on the volumes. Like.
Sir, can I say something?
Yeah, I want to
Hello.
add something. I want to add something more to what I have said. Very innovative, very humorous, but it is a very practical way of running a laboratory successfully. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to start a business, just start one small photometry. Do blood sugar free of cost. All patients will come to you for getting blood sugar, and when the patient's blood sugar tests are done, you will have a lipid profile to do. So never give up doing blood sugar free of cost. Your laboratory will run very powerful. Blood sugar is not money, it is not revenue, it is a marketing tool. Never take money from your pocket and do marketing. Just do blood sugar free of cost. If you want a medium-sized laboratory, please do lipid profile free of cost if you want to become very big laboratory. And please do thyroid free of cost if you want to become the national player. Trust me, it has worked for me. It can work for anyone. It's very difficult to believe ऐसा भी कर सकता है क्या? मैं कह रहा हूँ, it is possible. Please just think it over. Next question to whoever you want to ask. Go ahead.
Can I say something, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
You are audible.
Hello. Myself, Dr. Naresh Prasad. Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Naresh, we are your listen. We are listen, Dr. Naresh. You please tell me.
Whenever we are selecting a machine, it should be a very users friendly. Our staff should learn the machine very quickly, or it should be they should be able to handle the machine. And ourselves also, being a clinician, we are not pathologists, but we should learn the things very quickly. Then only on the machine will be feasible. Otherwise, the investment will go on. In my practice, I started with the 3 parts. Then I changed to 5 parts. Now I am having a CBC cell counter, 7 parts. And the services provided by the sellers of the machine, they should be quite effective. If they are not providing the services, if the chemicals are not available, then the machine will go and break down. So I am using a CBC machine, urine analyzer machine. They are also equally good. And I'm having a electrolytes machine that is also good for clinical practice, and a blood sugar machine and a CRP machine. These all machines are equally helping the practice in my practice. And we should also know the how to interpret the results of the machine. The reports which are given to us, they must be interpreted very well. If you are not able to interpret the results, it will be of no use. In my CBC cell counter, 7 parts, they are giving the interpretation, the report of PLCC, PLCR, NRBC. Still, I don't know what is the interpretation of these things. If someone can tell the interpretation of PLCC, PLCR, NRBC.
Sir,
Anyone?
we'll have that class separately. Today we were discussing on the setting up of the hospital, but it's a very nice question what you have put it across, sir, Naresh sir, and
Yes.
what you are telling, that is the most common problem faced everywhere with the report. Not knowing the particular graph, certain graph we get of RBC, WBC, certain other added things which will be there. But I think we can take up that in the next class, sir. So if our speaker would wish to answer
Prashant,
to them, yes sir, Dinakar sir, yes sir, yes sir.
Just one question to Dr. Haridas.
Yes, please.
Sir, sir, you are telling about the flow cytometry in the, what is it, the 5 parts they have hematology.
Yeah.
So 5 parts hematology. Just can you just tell us, sir, because it will give us a reticulocyte count too, you are telling us.
Yes, yes.
So other machines, do you think they don't give, sir?
No, reticulocyte cannot be done in a routine 5-part cell counter, because without additional flow cytometry attached to a 5-part cell counter, you cannot give the reticulocyte count. So reticulocyte count has to be done on a 5-part cell counter with flow cytometry.
So
Because the
that
routine
means,
routine
It can
5-part
be
cell counters cannot give reticulocyte count.
the 7 parts gives a reticulocyte count. In my machine, they are also
That's what.
giving flow cyte, 7 parts.
whichever machine has a flow cytometry, only those instruments can give reticulocyte.
But we have to use this only for the reticulocyte purpose. If it is used for all the CBC purposes, it will raise the cost of the tests.
Yeah,
Then
definitely.
yes. Out of all the machines, urine analyzer machines are very cost effective. It cost around 30 to 35,000, and it is very effective. Once for the person who are handling with the emergency pediatric patients, they should keep a laboratory side to side. Then only their practice will flourish a lot. It will be 1:10 ratio. If you are having a pathological lab at the side of the clinic, and if the laboratory is under your command, it will fetch good results. You will be able to handle the emergency patients very well, and the results of the laboratory's support will be instant. In our place, after 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, we are not able to get a CBC counts, even if the TCTCs are not available. And for the next morning till 10, they are not going to receive any blood sample. And if they receive the blood sample at 10 a.m. in the morning, they will on very big request, they will give the reports in the evening, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. In the meantime, patient may deteriorate a lot. That is the idea. But once we are having a laboratory in our setup, it will be under our command, and also we can do the concession to the patient. If we are getting the fees of the patient, if we are not getting the CBC charges, full charge, half the charge, 50% discount can be done on that cost. And we will be treating the patient and enjoying the diagnosis very well.
Prashant, regarding the IEM, to Dr. Akash. Akash, I think so. You are staying in Bangalore, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I think I don't know whether I met you or not. But however, suppose, see, as Dr. Videgowda was telling, if the patients are not so much affordable, regarding IEM study, because when we send for the dried blood sampling DBS for the TMS and urine sample for the GCMS,
Yes.
both if we will send, we don't send the plasma because we don't ask for any amino, because in that one only they will only give everything test. Do you think sending plasma once again is mandatory?
If it is as per the guideline, if it is a aminoacidopathis, it is definitely plasma is the preferred specimen than the urine. If it is the urine organic acid, definitely the urine is the preferred specimen, because all the metabolites are going to be converted and sent out of the urine. So acyl glycines, all those will be seen in elevated levels in the urine. So that becomes a secondary markers, primary markers in the blood, secondary markers in the urine. So that way we would get a conclusive diagnosis.
Sir, how we will see? I am a clinician. I
Yes.
will be having 100 and at least when from 100 diagnoses, I will be having at least 10 diagnoses. That time I'll be having even amino acidopathies and other disorder also. Do you think then usually till now I used to send only DBS and the GCMS study. I never sent, but they never asked me. So in case if you find something in your report, you will ask us to send the plasma, right?
Correct. Normally, whenever we have seen elevated levels of some of the carnitines, see, particularly in case of fatty acid oxidation disorder, invariably the blood specimen, we might not see the conclusive elevations, and to say that it is a GA1 or GA2, it is difficult to conclude it because there are multiple metabolites in it. So when we do it with the plasma, the elevations are much better and much clear. So here, our experience, we have seen plasma for carnitine. Yeah, plasma carnitine would give a better results for the fatty acid oxidation disorder than the urine. All these fatty acid disorder markers won't come in the urine. So it is particularly long chain fatty acids. Whereas the short chain you might see some, but long chain fatty acid, it has to be in the blood. So that's where becomes important. Depending on the type of disorder, we need to choose the right specimen for diagnosis, follow-up confirmation.
Yeah, Dr. Akash, once we diagnose the things,
Yeah.
other laboratories do support us. Here is the milk sampling. Milk means powdered milk.
Correct.
For the specific disorders, and they do help for the patient attenders.
Right.
In your organization, do you think any help is there for the patient? Because if they are in the periphery?
Yeah, of course we would do it. Normally in the follow-up confirmation, we normally very liberal, because sometimes we waive off them because they are already having a trouble and they're grieving because of the patients are sick. We are normally give a very subsidized testing for the positive cases.
Yeah, thank you. Prashant, over to you.
Yeah. Any other questions if they have?
Yeah.
Audience,
can I have a question to Mr. Akash?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, regarding the NBC, in various countries which is more developed than us, they have 250 or 200 parameters plus, and you have tamed down to 60 plus now. Is there any way for the rural areas where everybody is mentioning about affordability, there are 5 or 10 parameters that we can concentrate on, where we can have some light at the end of the tunnel, getting them as dry tests with the help of the companies and the manufacturers here? What would be the suggestion from your side on those tests? That is the minimum that you can test a baby for. Is there any suggestions?
Yeah, the most important one, as you know, the thyroid and G6PD, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, and MMA and PA. So PKU. So there are about 10, and also the hemoglobinopathies. So put together about 12 conditions, or 12 to 15 conditions are most commonly predominant in the most of the in our sample what we have seen, it is about 10 to 15 conditions are comparatively common. If we could cover them, it is as good as covering entire.
I think
So
that's
we
a
can't
good
have a
idea.
tame down kit for the less affordable crowd.
Yes, yes, we can actually give this definitely the affordable pricing for the shorter panel than the comprehensive panel. So that way it is more like a, the cost of doing that more or less similar, but we can offer this benefit to the rural crowd where they are not going currently. We can initiate, make them aware of it, and make them undertake this test by giving them the better value for the money.
And one more question adding on. You said that as soon as the tests are done, you'll have to put it in an envelope and keep it in a refrigerator. But however, when it is sent by post or bus, it need not be refrigerated. Will there be any difference in the temperature?
No, up to 7 to 10 days, absolutely no changes are at all. We normally, why we recommend them to be kept in the refrigerator after drying is because if it is over dried, in particularly if the laboratory is in the basement area or the sunlight is directly falling on it, so the sample may get over dried. So when we are extracting the blood sample, the sample blood may not come out and it start floating. So in order to eliminate such problems in the laboratory, it becomes important to store them in a proper condition, while transportation is not an issue.
Okay, so it need not be an AC bus or something. It can still go in a normal van or bus.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's what you mean.
Yeah, that's
okay.
true.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Akash.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions, attendees? You can unmute and ask our speakers and panelists. Anyone?
Right. If there is no question, I will tell something what I wanted to tell.
Please go ahead, sir.
Actually, I have been listening to all of your questions, and it's very interesting to know a lot of challenges happening around faced against. But I have a simple advice, and I am very good at giving punchlines in English, Tamil, and Hindi. And let me tell in Hindi a punchline. जो काम करते हैं वो बुढ़े होते हैं, जो काम कराते हैं वो बड़े होते हैं. Which says, if you work, you will only become old. If you get the work done, you will become wise also, rich also. So I want all doctors not to sit and evaluate which machine gives what results and how to operate the machine. Don't sit and read the manual of the machine and waste your professional qualifications of managing patients. Find out a good technician who is working in a decent hospital with 3 to 5 years of experience, who has handled photometry, handled hematology, has handled thyroid machine also. He may not come for 15,000 a month. He will come for 50,000 a month, but it is worth it. Recruit a good quality technician, use him and get the work done. Please don't get into, as a doctor, don't get into laboratory testing by yourself. That's number one. Number two, again, get it done. Kam karao. All higher end tests, get it done from elsewhere. All technologies are not easy to manage. And once you have sufficient volume, appoint a full-time pathologist, give him all machines, give him all facilities, freedom, and grow the laboratory business. And I have seen people who run laboratory become richer faster than the doctors who sit and see the patient. Because when you see the patient, you only have limited number of hours, and per patient, you have to spend that much time. In laboratory, you can appoint n number of technicians and you can grow the business, and it is possible to create a huge impact. In other words, in laboratory business, there are three kinds of businessmen. One who makes money, other who makes a lot of money, the third one makes the hell of money. I think that is my input. Back to you.
I mean, it
Sir,
was the punchline, sir. Yeah, I mean,
sir, I wanted to say,
yeah, please, sir.
sir, I wanted to say, is there any legal issue involved with the clinicians or practicing pediatricians are keeping a laboratory in the clinic? If a clinician is running a laboratory in the clinic, is there any legal issue involved?
Let me honestly tell you, wherever you make money, there is enough legal problems around you. If it is medical business, medical legal. If it is building business, there will be a legal problem. So legal is going to be a part of every profession. As long as you do your profession as clean as possible, as meticulous as possible, as conscious as possible, there is no medical legal issues going to trouble you. I have run business for the last 25 years, and we do now 500 crore per annum business. Not even 5 lakh is the lawyer fees which we pay, which means when you run a very decent, honest business, medical legal problems are not truly there. But there will be somebody who will send you a threatening lawyer notice. Don't get intimidated. Have I answered you?
Yes, yes, thank you. No, someone is telling that the laboratory, whatever the laboratory is keeping with you, it should be registered with a civil surgeon's office. That was the information.
The state government says, different state government says, different kind of compliance should be done. You have to comply to Pollution Control Board. If you have employed people, you have to comply to Shops and Establishment Act. All these things are not legal. All these things are statutory. And you have to follow all statutory aspect. Legal is somebody feels that you have cheated him. Somebody feels that you have medically negligent towards his care. Those are only called as legal. As long as you are consciously committed to the patient and his welfare, those issues will not come.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Audience, if you have any question.
Yeah,
last question.
I'm Srinivasan from Chennai.
Go ahead, sir.
So I have a question to Velumani, sir. It would be great if you answer this question to all these group members, sir. So I will ask a different type of question. See, do any hospital or a startup clinic, do they require to have a pathologist with them, or whether they can run a laboratory with an experienced technician? Because many of the startup hospitals or laboratories, they cannot afford to appoint a pathologist. So what is your advice on this? It would be helpful for the whole group to understand this better. Yeah. Thank you. Sir, you are not audible, sir.
You are muted, sir. Sir, you are muted.
Hello. Now I am okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So yes, as long as you are an MBBS doctor, as long as you are running a laboratory in your own premises, as long as your patients you need a solution, no one can ask you why you don't have a pathologist in your premises. Secondly, if you are running a commercial laboratory for every patient around, or if you are running it only for 3-4 friend doctors around, you don't need any pathologist. Pathologist signature, pathologist presence is not easy because pathologists are costly, and without volume you will end up paying too much of money to the pathologist for not doing anything because there is no enough work. However, if you are running fairly big setup and you are not also an MBBS doctor, you will be questioned for not having a qualified man. Whether it is your competitor questioning or it is a qualified pathologist think what is that you are running, you are not a pathologist, or the government might question. It all depends upon state to state what is the environment. In Mumbai, I see hundreds of technicians who are not even BSc DMLT, just DMLT, running a business roughly to a tune of around 2 crores to 5 crores. So it is not that you can be stopped, but ethically, if you are running a business and if there is enough volume, please put a full-time pathologist there. Make sure that you grow to justify the pathologist cost and grow the business. To begin with, I was a PhD. I started thinking that I don't need a pathologist. When the volume came up, I appointed one pathologist not because somebody asked, I felt I must have a pathologist. Today I am having 25 pathologists. So it is important that if your business size is big, if you are catering to the needs of general public, better please appoint pathologist. If you are doing it for your own clinic, hospital, where you are the judge for your own patient's results, no one can question. If somebody can question, that is the doctor who can question. But if you yourself is a doctor, I don't think you need to get certificate from someone else. I've given you very honest answer, but this answer may not be true state to state because everywhere politics is there. Everyone wants to fight for their might, and there is ugly fights going on in different states. Very difficult to generalize. I hope I have answered you, though the answer is not very clear.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think we have come to the end of the session. So, and any other further doubts and queries, you can definitely post or you can contact us, and we'll try to get answers from our speakers. Probably, if you send it leisurely. First of all, thank you very much, sir. Velumani sir, Haridas sir, and Dr. Akash. This topic has been very most sought after topic, and most of the beginners, because this web series has been intended to give a clear idea about for the doctors how the hospital works, what are the things which are required for the to set up an health small to a big health setup. It is just that it's your willingness and it's your vision and your understanding to make you understand better this web series. We have just given an ignite. We cannot learn everything in one web series, and today we had a lot of punchlines and a lot of practical learning experience, especially on deciding things. So what I have understood sitting for almost 7 to 8, so many classes is most of them have compared the hospital business with the marriage and wife and family. So we know we have been handling that personally at personal level. So health infrastructure is exactly like that. But you should not dare not to marry and not to have kids. You should dare and you should take risks. That is what I have learned as a bottom line from all these web series. So from on behalf of NNF Karnataka and our entire team, we would like to thank our speakers who have spared their time in spite of their very busy schedule and accepting our request. Thank you, Velumani sir. Thank you, Haridas sir. Thank you, Akash sir, Dr. Biregowda, Dr. Sheshagiri sir, and all the attendees as well. We'll catch up again in the coming Sunday with a different topic. So thank you one and all. Sir, would you like to go with one final line, punch line before we close the session?
I think this is connected by GenWorks, a brand which is into healthcare diagnostic solutions, and they have recently ventured into laboratory analyzers and reagents. And after getting inside only, they have understood it is very complicated. Wherever we get inside, we only come to know the problem after getting inside, including marriage. And now that they see it's a very complicated space, they want to help their clients to find a solution. And they have tied up with ThyroCare for higher end solutions. And thinking that if I talk in this meeting, I will also get some business. I have come to invest my time. Please don't come to me because I talked. Don't come to me because Genworth says Dr. Velumani is a very intelligent businessman, very, very kind and nice. Please evaluate all options. Finally, you will understand ThyroCare is one of the best options. Thank you very much. God bless you.
So I request before we close up, Dr. Ganesh Prasad, give a final word. It will be long for us about this web series. Dr. Ganesh, please unmute and say final words, then close the session.
Sir, I couldn't hear it clearly, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, final word before we close the session, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. So first of all, thanks, Dr. Velumani, for accepting our invitation. I know in your busy schedule, sitting through for 3 to 4 hours and taking every question, truly reflects your willingness to share your experience and, more importantly, give the right guidance to everyone to be able to do things that are important at this time, and most importantly, not make decisions which will hurt them later. So thank you very much, sir. And also, though I don't know the other two speakers, both of them truly made an effort to share their experience, and that's the most important thing. The whole purpose of doing a session as this is to make sure that it's not something that which is being presented here. Everything that's being presented that we have been seeing over the last 12 weeks is sharing of experience, and that makes this whole program so unique. I'm sure the many, once Dr. Prashant updates this in the NNF YouTube group, several thousands of doctors will see this, and I'm sure will benefit from the experience and expertise. So once again, thanks to all the speakers, and thanks Dr. Prashant, and thanks Dr. Dinkar, Dr. Kishore, for thinking about doing a program as this, which is not something which is only related to clinical, but holistically to make sure that there is knowledge sharing and from experts. And once again, thanks to all the experts for making the effort to take time and come and share their experience. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Haridas, sir, any final one-line comment, sir, before we close the session?
Yeah, Prashant.
Kodreshi, sir?
Oh, sir. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
as previous speaker told me, last 15 series have been done wonderfully about the doctor's profession from small inch to the higher level, including building, including structure, including taxation. Now the laboratory things are very well set by our senior colleague who has been a simple things can be managed by at a higher level also. The manpower is very much important for all these things. So very much thankful for the organizing our team, and I am proud to say that in my presidency it has been happening so well, and especially for Dinkar and Dr. Prashant. With all this behind well series, they are doing a wonderful job, and I thankful for the delegates and the speaker also on this occasion. Let us hope NNF will bring zero mortality in Karnataka. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That was our President NNF Karnataka chapter. Haridas, sir, final comment, sir.
Yeah, I just want to thank each and everyone in the NNF Karnataka for giving me this opportunity. So it was a very nice session. All of them spoke well, and then a lot of informative information was given to all the participants. So especially Dr. Velumani was very, very elaborative in his speech and his personal experiences, and more than his being a big businessman, he has a lot of humorous way of putting things across the his experiences. So it was very nice to hear him talk about various aspects other than the medical field. Thank you again, once again, and thank one and all for this opportunity.
Dr. Akash, the final comment.
Yeah, I thank everyone for giving this opportunity, and I request all the doctor to undertake the newborn screening for every baby born in Karnataka.
Thank you, one and all. We'll catch up again this coming Sunday. Thank you. Bye. Have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you.